It's LinkedIn, man. It's just throwing a bunch of shit against the wall, see what sticks. You didn't go to GameSpeak, did you?
I did.
How was that?
Good. That was a weird one because that was the event where people recognized me from LinkedIn and came up and just started talking to me like I knew them, and I was like, "What the
That
fuck?
kind of makes sense.
Who are you?" Like, "Oh, I'm making a game," and I'm like, "Yeah, I am. What's up?" And then they just were like, "Oh, I follow blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Oh, of course." That's totally why you are talking to me right now. So that was just an odd and surreal thing. I never had that happen to me before. So
Do you know,
like when I was at Twitch, I go to conferences and speak, and then people come up and try to sell me shit. Like that was I'm pretty used to that, but not this.
I get it.
All right, we're sideways. We're live, but we're sideways, and I don't know why. Let's see. Hello, everybody. Colin, can you talk? And let's make sure we
Yeah,
can.
what's up, man? Greg,
Yeah,
you
I
can
hear
hear
you.
me? Awesome.
Welcome to Player Driven Live. We are trying to get my boxes evened up here for those that are watching. We appreciate you joining us, and this is our holiday episode. And we are going to be talking about our winners and losers for 2026, first or 2025. Colin, did you think we'd
2020.
still? Did you think we'd still be friends here at the end of the year, and that we'd still be doing this?
I thought so, or at least I hope so. And I'm in my festive attire here with my Christmas hat, ready to kind of celebrate the holidays. When you said 2026, I was like, well, I already know who the winner is. It's gonna be Grand Theft Auto 6. That's easy. We can already mail that one. Put that in a package and mail it. But no, excited to talk about the year of 2025. I feel like we're at that point where we have to do the end of year stuff. So this is a natural conversation to have before the holiday break.
So before we jump in, right, let's talk about you've had a busy week last week. You were all over the place. Why don't you give us a little rundown of what your week was like?
Geez, yeah. I talking to a lot of people about this. I think the Game Awards. So I've been going to the Game Awards in person since COVID stopped or whatever. So when it came back, and so every year I feel like it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Where it's at that it's where E3 was basically. Instead of at the actual convention center, it's at the theater adjacent across from the Staples Center or Crypto Arena, whatever they call that, right? So it's like over there, and it's like gotten bigger, bigger, bigger. But not only is the event itself feels like it's getting bigger, more and more people come out for it, but it's also like the surrounding events. Like GameSpeed has an event in the morning before the Game Awards, and there's other kind of conferences and pop-ups and events that are just happening the whole week. And to me, increasingly, it's starting to feel like GDC, where it's like a whole week of stuff where you're just flying around, and then you get to the end of the week and you're just drop dead and kind of crawl in a hole on that Friday, which is kind of always my GD experience. Like get there on Monday and just be dead by Thursday and go home and crawl in the hole. So that's what I feel the Game Awards was for me, and from an event standpoint. But it's awesome. I love that the North America still has an event that could bring everyone to one place. I know we have Dice, I know we have GDC, but in LA after E3 went away, and no offense to Summer Game Fest, it's too all over the place. It's like all parts of LA have something going on, so it's not really connected. So this is a great thing to have connecting kind of the LA gaming scene and the West Coast gaming scene. And I'm happy to see everyone come from around the world to obviously hopefully get trophies, which one game definitely got a lot of trophies, and some games got some trophies.
One game did get all the trophies, and the question will be, will that be one of your winners or losers of 2025? But before even getting into that, right? Like, what are some of the games that excited you, man? I know you're a big Resident Evil fan, right? I mean, there are spoilers for
Oh
weeks
yeah,
leading up into that.
no, I am currently writing my. I'm probably gonna push it out tomorrow. Well, tomorrow's Friday, so it has to come out tomorrow. So I'm on the clock now. But I'm definitely at the point where I'm writing my Game Awards kind of recap, and I'd say the winners out of that event were definitely Resident Evil, and we can spend a lot of time talking about that. But if I were to look ahead into 26, the most obvious winner is going to be Resident Evil, and that's like 2 years in a row where Capcom's probably going to have a game that sells over 10 million copies. So congrats to Capcom for owning that like Q1 window, because it's clear that they're going to own it now. So Resident Evil is obviously a winner. I think people love that Leon is there. Awesome stuff. Divinity was the other winner. That just had so much post earned media coming out of it. I know some of it's because they stepped on the AI grenade. Sorry, Larian, but some of it's also because that trailer was really gross, and I was like, "What did I just watch?" So that's my point of view. I was watching. I was like, "Am I watching what I think I'm watching?" I was like, "Oh God, this is gross." Like I was both disturbed but intrigued, and a baller move from them not to put the 3 on it. They're just like, you know what? It's just Divinity. And I like, oh, awesome. So excited, at least for now, Divinity. So good stuff from them. My my personal winner was Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic, or KOTOR 3, as we like to call it in the industry. Tied with the Pod Racer sequel. I'm sorry, Star Wars Racers. So we're getting a Pod Racer sequel. I'm sorry, Racers, and we're getting KOTOR 3. I'm sorry, Fate of the Old Republic. So as a Star Wars nerd, as you can see by my background, I was super excited about that personally. And then Total War Warhammer 40K, another winner. And then I would say Tomb Raider, the franchise, is definitely got some momentum behind it. We'll see if they can execute, but they definitely did a good job of revealing what the Tomb Raiders were going to be, right? So hats off to Amazon Game Studios and their partners at I believe Crystal Dynamics is the ones developing the game. Keep me honest on that one, but congrats to them.
Yeah, I Star Wars Racers and Kotar. Kotar, I mean, then kind of told us it's not coming until 2030, which was then debunked, but we'll believe it when we see it. But
It's not Kotar, it's Fate of the Old Republic. No
Kotar,
knights, no knights.
uh, but racers, man, I remember the N64s getting
Pod
Pod
Racer.
Racer, whatever it was called. Maybe it's kind of memory. I remember it being called Pod,
I think
whatever.
it's called Star Wars Racing, but I call it pod racing. It's a
Yeah,
pod
I
racer.
mean, the movies were so meh at the time, but the pod racing game was just so cool to be able to do all that. And I just feel like it was one of the most like who thought that game would come back here in 2026. And when I saw it and I made the cover for this week's live, I'm like, I just want to put that, and no one's gonna know what it really is on the cover, but like I'm just so excited about this game coming out because it's nostalgia central, and hopefully it's got the same like feeling to it that I am so excited for it.
Yeah, the pod racing to me, and this is memory hold to me, so I might have just have rose glasses on it. Is very much like you're hot rodding your pod racer to be whatever you needed to be with the engine parts and like the look of it. And it was very much like the antithesis to me to what Mario 64 or Mario Kart 64 was at the time, which is I love that game, but like that was very much here's your cart go. Whereas this was like kind of construct what you want it to be and like race and try. So I would say like, oh, it's just a Star Wars racing game. But the fact they had the guy that looks like Sepulveda at the end just going, they're like, oh, they know what they're doing. Like they're putting out chum in the water for the Star Wars super fan community and those who are elder millennials who grew up N64s and had the pod racing game, which, say what you will about episode one, but the pod racing stuff was cool and Darth Maul's awesome. So that movie gave us those two things, pod racers and Darth Maul. So I'm here for the pod racing game. So, or sorry, the spiritual successor to pod racing, which is Star Wars Racers.
I'm with you there. And Divinity was the other one, right? I'm still one of the few souls that hasn't played Baldur's Gate 3. Uh,
What?
I just time, man. I don't know what time is. I don't know how to get that. And when I do have it, my kids are all over me, and there's still no time. And I don't
Not
know.
a game for kids to watch you play. Full
No,
stop.
well, they watch me play Battlefield, so that's debatable. Yeah, okay.
Uh,
But I love the just pure mature trailer, and like it knows its audience, it knows who its demographic is, it knows how to act, like there's no fluff around it. And I just love the brutality of it, and yeah, AI stuff. And they came out and kind of said no, but it doesn't matter to me. I think it just looks like I don't know. That's the type of experience that I think gaming needs for gamers, right? And we saw a lot of that type of stuff in 2025, right? With it kind of, again, I'm not gonna call them an indie because they're not an indie by any means of it, but like just real gaming, real gamers games, for lack of a better word.
For sure, for sure. And then, in the Game Awards to kind of put a bow on it, then there's like an infinite sea, unfortunately, of stuff that just doesn't really find an audience. And, it's a lot of announcements that get buried underneath like the whole, event of itself, which is both natural and also unexpected. And that's, I think, the challenge of these virtual events, which is something it's also going to go in my like piece that'll go out tomorrow. Is just like, the ROI is terrible, but what choice do you have? Like, and I sincerely mean that. Like, there's such a lack of things that draw in enough eyeballs at one single monoculture moment that they're so disparate now because everything's so tuned to your own algorithm, tuned to your own personal preferences. Where back in the olden times, people buy TV ads and they would be seen by everyone, regardless of what program you really watch. Was the idea that everyone just watched TV, and that's not the space anymore. Everyone's got their own personal consumption habits, and so the Game Awards and events like it act as a funneling mechanism. But then because it's that, then it's really, really hard to break through. So that's like, unless you're Nintendo, like, they beat to their own drum. They could set their own virtual events. They could draw their own audiences. But like, those are very few and far between. Everyone else in the industry is kind of forced to play ball, lack of a better word for it. I don't think that maybe that's the wrong framing, but like they do these things because it's so many eyes. Like I think Keely put out his numbers like 11% increase in viewership on digital, and then and correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, and then it was like not including the Prime Video broadcast on new linear TV. I don't know what to call it, like
Yeah.
CTV as the industry calls it. I'm like, it's okay. It's just TV. It's just the same kind of thing on my box on my living room, but it's now distributed through a digital platform instead of a cable. Oh, cool. But yeah, it's crazy, and really hats off to that guy. He took what was a cringy show from the Spike channel and turned it into this. Like that's amazing, right? If you'd asked me back when I started Twitch, like Spike Gaming Awards, I'm like, "Ugh." And now I'm like, this is cool. Like this is great. So he's turned it
It
into something.
I mean, what was that? I think it was 171 million streamers or streams of it live, it was just an insane number when you look at that, how people are consuming the content as well, right? How many people are watching it on their Xbox or their phone or their, like, think of everyone could have been watching it no matter where they are. And I think Jeff picked up on that trend real early of like, hey, like we got to be everywhere, anywhere. Like, I don't know. He nailed it, and it's for gamers by gamers. Like you see Amir get his award a few years ago, right? Like he knows where gamers live. He knows who gamers follow. Like it's nice when there's a gamer who's the one that's helping lead the way of gamers.
No, that's awesome. And and I would say, totally. And I would say where it's being distributed, the one place it wasn't. So I didn't. This is the first year I didn't go inside the award show itself. I went and did the thing where I hung out outside the award show during the award show, and I had a bit of buyer's remorse on that. But hey, if anyone from the LA live restaurant, bar, hotel scene is what listens to you, Greg, put the game awards on your TVs. This is the most obvious thing. Like, oh, we can't. I'm like, you don't have YouTube on your TV. Every TV has YouTube built in on it now. Like, put the game awards on. It's free. Just put it on. So,
Mhm.
anyways, that's my side rant. Just put it on.
All right. Before we jump into our winners or losers, we're down to the last 2 weeks of the year, and I'm curious, what games got your attention for the next 2 weeks? What are you playing?
Right now, I'm hoping to finish Dispatch over the holiday break. So I've been playing that in parse, challenging because I got all my free time in December and late November sucked up with family time and sucked up with like the holiday thing and sucked up with like kids stuff, which I love all these things, but it's like literally no time for me to really sit down and play games. I'm like, I just don't have time. But I am going to play the rest of Dispatch over the holiday break. But I have some strong feelings about that game, which you can talk about a little bit later. But I overall adore that game. So love Dispatch. That's the game I'm most excited to play over the break, and I might plug in some Clash Royale. Its resurgence has got me. I know I'm late on this, but I played that game solidly for 7 years, and I was very good on the ladder. I retired it. I got bored of playing my Hog Rider with my Mega Knight deck, and I'm like, I'm done. This game isn't challenging. I'm just kind of gonna move on to Marvel Snap. And now that it's kind of resurged, I'm like, ugh, what has really changed about this game? Maybe I should just kind of put my toe back in the water, which is a dangerous proposition for someone who spent 7 years in that game.
You're saying you have done it, or because last we
I'm
talked, you were
going to.
thinking about it.
I'm going to over the break. I'll reinstall it on my phone, fire it up, see how many coins I have, buy what I can on the decks, and look at the meta, and then give the ladder another go. It's like
Like an
I'll for sure
addict
find
ready
something
for
to do.
his next hit. Like, all right, I'm gonna prep myself this time for it. Be ready for it.
Yeah, it's just like the. I mean, sorry if anyone's Supercell. Like I legit played that game. You got all my money. I was a whale, and then I just retired. I was like, I'm okay. I like the game,
Right.
and I
So
retired. But I'm now interested to try it out again. So that's on my list of to dos over the holiday. So those are the big two, right? And then I would like to find time to play Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered, but whatever, Evelyn's Chronicles or whatever they called it. But I don't know. We'll see. Like that is my one of my favorite games of all time, and I'm glad they remastered it. So I do want to find time to play that game.
you were so excited about that. That was like the top of the newsletter for
Time.
a while. Yeah,
Oh, and
time,
then
right?
time, and then I got
It'll be
kids. They're gonna want to play Lego Star Wars on my PS5, so that'll also be a thing that's on our TV over the break. Lego Star
yeah.
Wars.
So there you
Can't wait
go.
for Lego Batman. Just give me something else.
I
Give me
know.
something
We've
new.
been watching previews. My son is like itching to get it. I'm like, dude, we got like 6 more months. Stop. But
Lego Batman. It'll be a
yeah,
hit.
we've been playing Cosmic Invasion.
How is that?
That is a lot of fun. It's a good beat 'em up game. It's a good evolution of Ninja Turtles, and there's some cool characters in there, and it's hard. We're stuck on a level. It's been a long time since I've been stuck on a level like that in a beat 'em up game. So like,
Oh, so it's like punishing beating them up like they used to be. Like I
yeah,
legit, one of the hardest games I've ever played that I can recall. I mean, outside Battletoads, which is designed poorly. That's why that game is hard. You actually can't do that game. But that aside, besides Battletoads, another beat 'em up, I look at the Maximum Carnage game that was on my Super Nintendo with the red cartridge.
hmm
That game was punishingly hard. Like Here's 3 lives. You're like, okay, like, and then you get to Carnage at the end. You're fighting him in the burning house, and you die. Like, you gotta be kidding me! Like, we're back to square one. So
Mine was
that game.
Vector Man. Vector Man on Sega Genesis was just this little green blob dude that was a robot and really cool, but it was such a hard game to get past. There's a few games like I don't think I've ever made past level one. One was like the NES Ninja Turtles game. I don't know if you ever played it. It was the old school
The
emotional
top down, like
yeah, and
old
you're
school
like
Grand Theft
riding into the
Auto.
what you're
Yeah,
supposed to be right. Impossible game, hardest game of all time. But yeah, all these games are hard. Going back
that's
to
on
these, you go back to the
that's
original
on my
Nintendo.
list
This
of
is
five
hard.
games. That's like hardest game. That is actually on my list. I remember being 6 and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. This game is
No,
really hard. They fixed it with Turtles in Time and like team like in like that beat 'em up, the classic beat 'em up style of Turtles, right? But that
yep.
first one was just hard, and their audience is kids. So they learned something back then, and they fixed it. So yeah. Um, what are you playing over the break other than more of the Marvel game?
Battlefield still big into Battlefield. Loving it.
Uh,
Eventually, I've now can talk to my friends into playing it. So we're playing it. We're also playing Fortnite, which I'm going to talk more about Fortnite later. But I don't know. I'm in the mood for a new game. I think over the holidays, I'm gonna convince everyone to get Arc Raiders. I feel like that's the healthy evolution and the next step we should be taking. But I'm also now curious on Marathon. Do I just wait out for Marathon because it looked like Marathon re-upped their game here, and I'm pretty sure that's coming out and everything. Maybe
yeah, no,
somebody could.
coming out next spring. They announced the date or the
No, I know
time
that. I
period.
don't know. I don't know if they were gonna release it on Xbox since uh,
Oh,
it's a question. They probably should based on where they are
well, well.
in the world right now. But
Speaking of Xbox, I have to ask you. I'm going to go to my winners and losers of
let's kick it
25.
off. You
We'll
want to
start
kick it
with
off?
Yeah, but we'll start with losers because you're the Xbox guy and they were my loser, and I made an entire case of like why they lost this year.
Mhm.
I can break it down real quick here, but I think their high level, their distribution model is whack. I call it I mean, I'm not unique, but it's like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. And that might be like in that they're both trying to sell the game and they're giving it away for free. And they're like in this weird no man's land of like, there's no winning. And like, why does that matter? Because on the back end of the P&L, and just speculation of how these things work, like they have to sell games because they charge for games. So there's obviously a goal of selling units, and they're never going to hit it by giving it away for free simultaneously. And on the other side, they're probably have not figured out yet how to do the appropriate time attribution to a game, or there's not enough money to really offset the cost. So like when they're doing time attribution and they're like Call of Duty Black Ops 6 loses $300 million, like how could that be? It's probably driving all the eyeballs on the Game Pass, and it just is because of some sort of weird attribution in terms of subs equals time equals some sort of credit to everybody in the game or in the ecosystem. So like I think that is one way. And I think from that like starting point, which might be regulatory, like after they bought Activision Blizzard King, they might have had to do that where they have to sell games on competing platforms and have it on Game Pass. I'm not a lawyer. I followed the case, but I recall that being maybe one of the concessions they made in the UK, and they might be just forcing this terrible business model that they can't escape because they can't actually go full subscription to actually test out its viability, and they also can't like they don't want to just sell games. Like they didn't buy these companies to just sell games, so they're in like a weird no man's land. And I think from that top point, everything just kind of falls into a bad spot. Like it just bad strategy leads to bad outcomes, and like marketing games becomes impossible and challenging. And I kind of talk about that, and I don't think they marketed Outer Worlds 2 all the best. I don't think the opportunity cost for Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is pretty obvious now, where they just missed on that and didn't win at all relative to Arc Raiders or Battlefield 6. So just a lot of soul searching, I think, going on in Microsoft this Christmas as they try to figure out what's next. And I hope that doesn't mean more cuts to the gaming side.
Well, I think more cuts are inevitable. I think, and this is from a technology perspective. And we shouldn't get into this because this is a much deeper rabbit hole than it is. Uh, and it's hard for me to argue why you have Xbox on your losers lists. And I think this is one of those times where Microsoft is probably right and ahead of the curve on things. And the question is, can they outlast the curve? And one of my winners I have on my list is gamers in general, but more so around accessibility, and meaning that gamers have the ability to play games in more places on more devices than ever. If you look in the Asian markets, most of the gaming is done on mobile devices. If you look at other places, streaming is becoming bigger. 5G is more accessible by people all over the planet than it's ever been before, meaning it's less important to have the top hardware. It's less important to do this. And what's more important is the software, the platform, the community that's being built around it. And the more people, I mean, look at the success of Steam. There was an article the other day that Epic can't even touch Steam right now because Steam is a community. Epic's a marketplace. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
having that community is big, and Microsoft is having trouble competing with Steam as a community. They have Game Pass. Pass is like that first entry level into it, I think, right? And you have the users talking. I think optics on Microsoft are bad for understandable reasons, right? And I don't know the financials well enough, so I'm not going to talk much to that. I have people I know that are smarter than me, such as yourself, that can prove it wrong. But like, I think it's the long game of I don't have to pay for this hardware. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that because you know what? You have this phone right here. I'm going to hold this up to Samsung. If you want to send me your trifold, I'll play games on it. Right? You have people playing games on stuff like this, and I'm logging into my Game Pass through that probably more often than I am on my Xbox. And as long as I can provide the platform for me to access it with ease on any tool or device that I have, they'll end up being there. And then you have that free tier where everything's becoming ad based. And that's a whole nother nightmare that we're going to start seeing in the future where everything is ad based.
Oh, you're 100% right
And
about. Yeah, that's
and they're
happening.
that, right? I think you're right. They're probably getting out of gaming, focusing more on software platform accessibility with gaming as a component of that. That's why I liked how you worded your loser as being Microsoft Gaming, because I think you were probably right. Microsoft Gaming is probably going to kind of con whatever uh, condense a little bit, but the rest of Microsoft around it, I think, is going to be better off,
Oh,
and that is my gut feeling.
Microsoft will be just fine. And like I think that's the scary thing about what's happening with them and why I'm not trying to root for their failure. I mean, I might come off as that. I'm more like fix yourselves because I think the what will happen is if they look at it and go, "Oh gosh, why do we keep losing billions of dollars as we laugh our way to trillions?" It's like, well, is this a distraction to us at the executive level and opportunity costs? And if they just kind of pivot their kind of strategy even slightly and they like stop the subsidies, which is what I would call them into gaming, then I think that'll have catastrophic effect across big companies like Riot, which take a not zero amount of dollars from Microsoft as free because they're just giving them skins. So there's like zero marginal cost money going from Microsoft to Riot's coffers where they're just giving access to stuff they already have. It's very akin to the Apple Google deal where effectively the courts in the US said like we actually can't stop Google from giving Apple money because that'd be catastrophic to the industry. So we're just not going to. Like, oh, so the charity is so big that it would cause massive like labor like kind of overturning to
Repercussions,
kind of
man.
stop paying them. So it's not at that scale clearly, but like I think that's kind of how I look at Microsoft in gaming, where they're giving a lot of money to indie and AA developers to put their games on Game Pass. And if that money train stops, then these companies that were hopeful that Game Pass would offset their kind of dev risks are just gone. Now they're gonna have to go find funding elsewhere, and the VCs aren't here anymore. I think that'd just be bad for the industry right now. So I want Microsoft to figure out their strategy. Like, please just to pick a lane. That's my ass. Let's pick a lane. I'm bullish on the subscription side. I just think to test it out, you have to actually just do it and say, like, one of my winners is I did not have this 2 months ago is Netflix. I'm like, oh gosh, Netflix should actually put the stake in the ground because they did it in film and TV. I know everyone's in the other side of the industry that entertainment, like film and TV, are upset about the Netflix buying Warner Brothers, but and I know they value gaming at $0, which to me is like, okay, then it means it's all upside to them. Like if it's free, then it's added value, and then it's all upside value to them. But they definitively put a stake in the ground. They did subscriptions, but they didn't try to window it. They're like, no, no, no. You want to watch this movie? You want to watch this movie? You want to watch this TV program? Netflix only on the day. And like, do they syndicate House of Cards? Or maybe that's a bad example because of all that. But like, has syndicate like Orange is the New Black on other channels? No, Netflix only, Netflix only, Netflix only. Sub or don't sub, but like you're not getting our content anywhere else. And that's quite the stake to put in the ground. And if you make it good enough, people just pay you the fee forever. And like, great, I have Netflix as my default cable basically now. They have enough content on there that there's something that someone's going to watch in my family. Right now, my son's crushing 90s Power Rangers and they're kind of remake or remaster of it. Shout out to the Power Rangers. But yeah, and I look at them going into gaming now that they actually bought a a company that's known for taking IP and turning it into games from other medium. They take Batman and make them into games. They take, the Lego TT studio takes all sorts of IP, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Batman, turns it into Lego games. They take Harry Potter and turn it into like games. They take, on, I can go on and on and on, like just really good outside of, Midway and Mortal Kombat. They're really good at just taking other IP and turning it into games. And they're being bought by Netflix, who sits on IP that can't make games. It just seems like a natural marriage there. Like the company that knows how to make IP-based games married with the company that has IP that can't make games. Now they become one, and I think that's a inevitable win. But like why I said all that is if they did it and they close the deal in 2 years or 5 years or however long it happens, I bet it closes. I'm of the notion that YouTube is a competition, and anyone that thinks otherwise is put their heads in the sand. YouTube just got that rights to the Oscars. I'm like, oh, YouTube's not television. I'm like, they just bought the rights to the Oscars to broadcast it. They're television people. Like, get your heads out of the sand. They
Is that
sell me
part of
the
the
NFL
argument,
pack.
YouTube?
Yeah, 100%. The Netflix points to YouTube as the competition. Like, they're bigger than we are, and they're a lot bigger. And I can go on YouTube now and buy the NFL Sunday ticket. That's that's TV. Like, it's just selling to me in piecemeal. I buy YouTube TV during the NFL season, then I turn it off, then I turn it back on during the NBA playoffs, then I turn it off, and go back on for the NFL. So I'm very much augmented to sports, and then off like for like 4 or 5 months, on for the rest of it. But I buy that argument. But like, go to when Netflix gets gaming, then they can actually test a subscription model. If they really feel that you have to subscribe to Netflix to play games, then they have the opportunity to put their stake in the ground and say, yeah, you want to play Hogwarts Legacy sequel, Hogwarts Legacy 2, Netflix only. And like, it's perfect for latency. That's the other argument. Like, people don't want to stream games because of latency. I don't want to stream Call of Duty on the cloud because my latency's off, because you're not going to be playing my neighbor, you're going to be playing someone in overseas and the latency's weird, and I'm either going to be OP or just get wrecked because of latency, right? Okay, but what if you're just playing like a single player RPG? Does latency matter at that point? No, doesn't, in my opinion. Doesn't matter at all. Who cares, right? Doesn't matter. I'm turn based. I'm playing Lego. These are perfect games to kind of fit into that streaming model to actually test it out. I'm not saying it'll work, but I'm thinking Netflix can actually test the hypothesis because they have shown the discipline of just saying all or nothing on behind the wall. And
Yeah, I like the move. I think I prefer Netflix over Paramount at this point because that sets up a slippery slope for other issues. But I think it's fascinating and that they're able to afford WB. I think that it's fascinating that they value the game at nothing, which I get it. But again, they have the rights to, you said, Mortal Kombat. I mean, Mortal Kombat alone moves the needle a little bit, right? And you
uh,
can save other
how much do you think
franchises.
WB Games would be big? I mean, we're not financial people, but I'm gonna guess WB Games sold as an independent company to someone at some point would have been worth like what, $8 to $10 billion, maybe 12. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry.
mean, right? I mean, you got Rocksteady as part of that, right? And they're known outside of the recent one, creating some great titles. I would say a couple $1 billion. Just, but again, that's IP related, right? Like,
You're buying Mortal Kombat, so that
well,
alone
imagine
has
buying the DC universe. So at some point, DC is going to make a comeback. I mean, you got Batman,
yeah,
right? Like, I
yeah.
don't know.
You're buying
But
TT. You're in the Lego catalog, which is one of the top 5 franchises of all time in gaming, is the Lego TT games. Like collectively, now individually they don't sell bonkers, but collectively, because they've done so many of them, they just sell like a huge amount because they're the perfect family game. You can go on and on to that like portfolio. They own the Nemesis. They patented it.
yeah,
Like they could bring that back. I mean, like there's just
win for
so much
gaming.
opportunity there. And my example I use in my newsletter piece is like I just talk about Lego. I'll pull it out. Lego already makes Stranger Things sets for Netflix.
Wow, you got it already, huh? You're first in line, ready to go.
So TT makes Lego games based on IP. There's no Stranger Games Lego game. That would probably be the thing they would, I would assume, go and greenlight immediately. Like TT make us the Lego like Stranger Things game about the whole saga of Stranger Things, and it would probably sell just well. Kiddie-fy it, less horror, but like yeah, that I could see that working just fine, right? And that's the kind of mashups that I would expect. K-pop Demon Hunters could be a Lego game too, right? You could just go on and on and on. And it's not just that. You could do K-pop something else. You could do Stranger Things, something else. Like they have the IP and they have the people that know how to make these IP into age appropriate things depending on the studio that's working on it. Or could
American
you imagine the
K-pop
next
stars.
Mortal Kombat having Rumi in it? Oh,
No,
just
you're going crazy now. I'm sitting there
I'm
thinking, no, this is great. All right, so we got Netflix as a winner, which I agree. But you know what? I'm also thinking like, does WB leave a void somewhere? Where's the
I'm
opportunity for companies in that space now that WB ceases, not doesn't cease to be, but let's say ceases to be?
Um, I think like that's an interesting question. I think the opportunity really goes back to the WB. I feel bad. They've been owned by, if you just look at the last 10 years, they owned by a telco company with AT&T who knows nothing about gaming. Then they kind of jump over to a guy who is known for Shark Week and Property Brothers content, also presumably knows nothing about gaming. And they just been rudderless at sea. And I think to me, WB Games is a storied entity that has been mostly sleeping at the wheel, with the exception of Hogwarts Legacy for the 2020s. And with the right support, like even, or, broadly speaking, in the right kind of goal setting, like I think they could go back to being a juggernaut. It's ridiculous that TT has only come out with one game this decade and with the second one coming out next year. Ridiculous. They have Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, they used to pump out like 3 of these a year. I'm not saying like that was the best play, but like there was content coming from that studio and they just stopped. But I think that's because they've been rudderless from a organizational standpoint. So I'm just happy that a sleeping giant can come back and compete with the other studios because historically speaking, they're a big player. They're not
Sure,
nothing.
sure, it's okay for Rockstar to take that long, but TT Games, get your shit together, man. I
Oh, that's
I will go
funny.
with one of my winners. Uh,
Please, I want to hear what you
One of
got.
my winners is something I still don't know enough about is Roblox. Roblox is a behemoth, and I think year over year growth is showing that Roblox is really finding a way to connect with its core audience, which I think is not most of the people who are listening to us or watching us. And that is something I've been playing a lot these past couple of weeks. I've been launching Roblox experiences, and it's
Grow Garden?
I didn't do Grow a Garden. Right now there's actually, and I did this once to be total. There's an Amazon gift guide experience, and you can go in, and a lot of the toys from the Amazon gift guide are built out in Roblox, and you can go walk around the Amazon catalog and do all this stuff. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, holy cow, they're basically full in ad a full advertisement of a game in Roblox, which is having players right now where you can go up to these items and they externally link you to the product on Amazon. I'm just thinking like the ad revenue in this space with Gen Z and Gen A playing these games is crazy. And the way that games are being launched right now, and they're crappy games, it's really the meta they say is just real quick slop. But I think it's good for studios who are trying to see what mechanics do kids like or don't they like, right? It's a good way to test it. But again, I am not a fan personally of Roblox, but the experience that is built here and the size of it dwarfs its competitors, I believe, by a good margin. And it has just such great eyeballs on it. And I feel like it's an enigma to anyone over a certain age. Everyone goes, well, there's lots of creeps on Roblox. Yeah, there's probably a good amount, but they're also a public company now that's taken a lot of actions, and there's probably creeps in a lot of places as well, right? Like, yeah, they're going to be the biggest because they are the biggest, and they are. I believe they're trying to do stuff to protect it, but
Huh?
I just think it's an ecosystem that we don't know. I'm not going to say we, right, but we don't know enough about, and I think it's fascinating.
I probably would put them on a, like, I don't disagree with that. I would say this is a year in our data that they overtook Minecraft pretty consistently. Like, Minecraft started off the year strong with the movie and kind of the kind of long tail thereafter, but ever since the summer, with like the advent of Grow Garden, it's been the year of Roblox after that, right? And they've kind of just dominating the top pole position. Where it used to be Minecraft for the last like 5 years owning that pole position with like Roblox occasionally taking the crown for a week or two. Now it's the opposite, where it's like Roblox owns it with Minecraft occasionally taking the crown from them. So I would say they are continuing to grow. So overall, yeah, totally. And that would go to a loser I didn't put in there. I only made one loser in my loser piece. I don't want to be mean to everyone. I It's not going to be popular, but I continually think that Epic and Fortnite are losers. Fortnite specifically, because I think that game is in decline, slow decline, not rapid decline, and they're still one of the largest things in the games in the world. So it's like sobbing over the pile of money they sit on. But like I just look at their data in our system, and I'm like, you are at such a peak in 2019, and you are so far from that peak now, right, relative to where you were. And you go on Fortnite GG and you can't go backwards in time. I think it's just hilarious. Like kind of like these this was not a world that ever existed, but in our and the way we look at it, I'm like, yeah, it's been declining. And I think in part because Roblox is eating their lunch. Like kids used to go to Fortnite as the thing to do, and now every generation wants their thing. And I think the Zoomers had Fortnite, and I think the alphas want Roblox. So they're not winning over that young demo. And Minecraft just exists as a everything thing, right? They're like kind of just immune to a lot of that stuff. So I think Roblox is eating their lunch, Fortnite's lunch, which is why I put them as a kind of loserish company or game this year, Fortnite. And then on the other side, I think GTA 6 is going to eat their lunch on the olders. I think Zoomers are all going to flock to GTA 6 online when that thing is live. I think
I
that's
have Fortnite as my number one loser of this year, and
ooh, so you agree with me.
I play the game, and I enjoy playing the game. And they just had the Simpsons event, which is telling because it shows you that they know who their demographic is and who's playing the game right now. It's the cartoon dads that they just recently had, and it's great. Had a ton of fun with it. And now the new season came out. I'm not loving it right now. The newest DLC is Kim Kardashian, which no hate to Kim Kardashian, but this feels like the Call of Duty Beavis and Butthead moment where they got the DLC for Beavis and Butthead, and people are like, "What the hell is going on with this?" And I think I've spoken to developers that create UEFN experiences, and they're struggling to find people. The number one experience on Fortnite right now that's not battle royale is a copy of To Kill or to whatever a brain rot to grow a brain rot from Roblox, right? I think it's understood now that the experiences being built are created in Roblox, and then the successful ones are copied in UEFN. I think UEFN's got a great asset base and a great way for people to get started. I just think they missed the boat on who they're. I don't know what they missed the boat on. It seems like they missed the mark. And the more developers I'm talking to that are struggling with creating UEFN type of experiences, it's more and more telling that I think this is on a slow decline. Not that it can't be saved or something that has to change, but I think they missed the boat, and it's almost time to start thinking about what does Fortnite 2 look like, right? How do we improve this experience, right? We always talk about how does a forever game get a sequel, right? And maybe now it's that time you got to start thinking about like I don't know. Luckily, there's smarter people than me out there.
No, that's such a I kind of hear that through the grapevine too, but I'm not as immersed in that UEFN space to have like a hard take on like yay or nay, knowing that obviously battle royale is gonna be the biggest thing. But I just think like they don't have the cultural oomph like they did back, in the late 2010s, and UEFN to the like, reactionary kind of pivot, like to kind of combat Roblox is a bit late and not as scaled as it needed to be. But this is like true of a lot of Epic's moves. Like Epic Game Store never is going to be Steam, and yet they poured so much effort and time and capital to try to make it into Steam, and it just isn't. They bought exclusive rights to things. They played all the game, all the moves, and like I just think it's been to the detriment. And we talked about this before, but I think like they're just kind of they're like living in the world of decisions that were made, and there were solid decisions, but like as I've mentioned to you before, like the fact that Tim Sweeney went to holy war with Apple and got kicked off iOS for like half a decade, probably from a Fortnite audience perspective, completely terrible idea, but like from a gaming industry perspective, hooray, you got the ball moved in the direction that's more favorable to developers. So like it just depends on like what their aim was. But like for the Fortnite health, it's been bad, and I think you're just downstream from that decision, and like a lot of decisions in that like kind of lane. But can they fix it? Maybe. I just think the challenge is gonna be Grand Theft Auto. Like I just think GTA 6's audience is going to come from somewhere. It's not going to be kids. My kids are going to play Grand Theft Auto 6 online. So the alphas are protected within the universe of Roblox. So then you look at the teens, which I think is where Fortnite's audience pretty much sits, like that young teen to mid teen. And it's like, oh, they're going to all want to play GTA online. And so, yeah,
You know,
it sucks.
it was announced that Unity Unite a few weeks ago that UEFN will support Unity games now, meaning you can take a Unity project and import it into UEFN. I don't know the full details of how that works. And now I'm curious on who needs who more. Does Unity need Unreal, or does Unreal need Unity? And I was at MDev a couple weeks ago. I saw a lot of projects being built in Godot. I don't know if you know much about Godot as an
Mm-mm.
engine. It's the baby third engine behind Unity Unreal. It's developed by MIT actually, so it's open source.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm seeing more projects built on that. And I'm curious. I'm wondering if more competitors coming into the space, if people see the squeeze coming in from maybe again Roblox, maybe they see that as a threat. How do we make it easier for people to create games or experiences on our platform? A lot of questions to be asked on why these things happen.
Well, I want to jump to my we kind of touched on them, but I'll give a quick shout out to some like on two honorable mentions. I think the industry's talked about it at nauseum, but the other winners at my end were both EA, which congrats. I mean, hard to not look at their year from a publisher perspective and not just be like, you guys did an outstanding job. Battlefield 6 is going to be the number one or number two selling game this year. So awesome. And then beyond that, FIFA in slight decline or FC, but still sells really well. One of the top 5 to 10 games this year still, so congrats to them. And then you look at the football combo of Madden college football. I think overall, if you look at them as a pair, I think they sell more American football games now than they did prior to bringing back college football. And so I don't know that's how EA Sports looks at it, but that's how I would look at them. Like, so they get both sides of the American football fandom. So if they don't buy 1 year of college football, they probably buy Madden, and vice versa. If they don't buy Madden, they probably buy college football, right? So they're maximizing the American football fan from a gaming perspective. And then they can still publish third party games with Split Fiction being the obvious hit that it was, right? So yeah, we like to, and I think I didn't put this in my piece, but honestly, EA is no longer the gaming industry villain. Microsoft's taking that spot. We used to just blame EA for our industry woes, but now EA has skirted that one, even though they got bought by the Saudis and people have mixed feelings about that. But and that's the other bit. They exited at a premium on the share price, and so they get to do what they wanted to do for years, which is not be a publicly traded company. They're trying to sell themselves reportedly to Amazon, reportedly to Disney, and they finally found a suitor. Say what you will about the suitor, but like found a suitor, and now they realize their goals. So the EA is a winner for me. And then we already talked about, but I think Supercell was my other winner. And I would love your thoughts on EA, but like Supercell, I mean, bringing back a game like Clash into kind of the zeitgeist is, for a company that is on the rise, even though they're dominant mobile gaming company, like I think congrats to them. But like EA, was probably my 1B winner this year. It's like not my winner, but they're like right behind them. Like, well, they did everything they're supposed to do and then exited the market. So congrats to EA.
Yeah, EA up there for me. I was pumped about Battlefield. I remember one of our first live streams. We were talking about Battlefield, and you weren't a believer as much so as I was, and I just loved the way EA approached Battlefield. Community first. We're listening to you. We're providing you games so you can provide feedback, so we can build this whole loop. It's like they've noticed the way games were going on an indie type of like scale, how they worked with their community and listened, and they took all these and just did it, and reaping the rewards. They built a game that the true battle fans love, and yeah, now there's little things being introduced where people might complain, but they're still listening. They're showing you the roadmap. They're showing you what they're building. They're building out experiences. They've taken away the classes that people hated before. It's just they listened. And to your point earlier in the year, I don't care about the sports. I play them all. It's fine. But Split Fiction, like they did it with the last one earlier than that. But like the couch co-op, bringing back couch co-op, I think is something huge. And like my son and his friends and me and my friends, we noticed like, hey, we play more of these couch co-op games, that they're now coming back. And I think when you start building AAA stock quality games of couch co-op and showing these successes,
Yeah.
right? I think that's just good for the industry because we'll get more people to start gaming together in person together. I think that's just a win.
Yeah, no, totally. Totally. So hats off to EA. I think I have to reveal my winner, and you're gonna be like, duh. And I know you know what it is already. The winner of the year is Nintendo. Like I tip the cap to Nintendo. They're my winner of the year. They not only won from I wrote another one, a piece that's called I called them, and that's not a new take. This is just me taking a take that's been out there forever. And the fantasy of Apple fans to buy Nintendo, but like the Appleification of Nintendo has been complete is now complete. They are now releasing hardware that is a mere copy of the previous generation of hardware. They have now become the iPhone of gaming. They're going to kind of presumably the Switch 3 will be the Switch 2, but with better graphics, better battery power, all the things. They're not trying to reinvent their console. They're just trying to standardize the form factor and kind of move forward in the direction that is the handheld, which I think is the next push. Like I think that's the future of gaming. You want to talk about streaming? If I can have a handheld that can stream everything in the cloud, so no longer need a jet engine graphics card in there that eats my battery life, but it could just be a lot more better, and I can walk around with my Switch or whatever Steam Deck. I think that's the future of gaming, broadly speaking. But Nintendo, they had an amazing hardware launch. I know the November numbers were down by Circana. I saw something like that yesterday, but like overwhelmingly, they're selling the fastest selling console launch of all time, paired with a monster hit in Mario Kart World, which in 5 years will be the top selling game of 2025. Right, Battlefield will be the short term winner, or Monster Hunter Wilds. I don't know which one, but like those two are the ones. But then fast forward 5 years will be Mario Kart World, because it'll be sitting on like 40 to 50 million copies sold. You'll be like, how did they do this? And they'll be the winner of the year. So game wise, the ecosystem of hardware, software, and the promise they give to their fans, it's working. They have their own directs. They market in a very unique manner that is weird, but they are successful. And then they are looping in outside real life experiences to kind of flywheel back into games. So like Mario movies is the obvious example, and the Zelda movie coming out. But then you also have toys and merch and theme parks. Like they're just operating at a whole different level than the rest of the gaming industry, who's just trying to sell you mostly games. And they are selling you basically a brand and IP and a lifestyle that is second to none basically in the industry right now. So tip of the cap to Nintendo. And if Amir listens to this all the way to the end, he'll be like, because I know he's a
I,
big fan of Nintendo.
yeah, I have like this love-hate relationship with Nintendo. I think maybe because I never liked Apple in general, right? And
You do.
I
You
just,
did have an Android phone. I am an
I,
iOS user.
yeah,
I love software and hardware that just work. I
I
love.
think I appreciate Nintendo because they are gamers, right? I mean, you think of the games and they're just pure games. It's pure joy. Nothing like booting up a new Mario for the first time and just playing Mario. Like, I love it. I hate that they get away with some of the crap that they get away with because they're Nintendo and people give them a pass on it, right? Like their whole, I don't know what the online experience was like now, if it's better, but like the whole old Switch didn't really support voice connect. You had to connect it on your phone and download an app. Like, what a pain in the ass. And then the Joy-Con would get terrible drift stick, whatever it is, like,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
like every other one gets yelled at because that happens. Nintendo gets the pass because it happens. And I think that frustrates me because I don't think they always have gamers' best interests in mind. That said, they make great games and they make amazing games, and the feeling is great. And the transmedia push that you're talking about into movies and gear and stuff like that is just so phenomenal. And the Mario movie, it's it's not a great movie, but it's a lot of fun to watch. It's a lot
Yeah.
of fun to watch, and you see your characters. There's better
People vote with
animated
their
movies out
wallet,
there.
Greg. $1.4 billion. People vote with their feet and their wallets. That's a movie that people want to see.
And you know what? Again, we talked about this last time. They're gonna take down they're gonna take down Avengers as the top movie ever when they have the Mario Super Smash Brothers movie that has brings in every character from across the ecosystem. It will just break movies to begin with, and it's gonna happen. It's foreseeable. Like, I don't know. It's just maybe I'm envious that I'm not Nintendo. Um, but like
I
I just
mean,
they never
I
push
I
the envelope. They play it safe, and good for them. They don't need to, and it's working for them. So like, why am I sitting up here arguing
what
about it?
I think the rise, it's been sneaky. It's like almost been a frog boiling in water with them. Because I look back to when I was a kid, was Nintendo popular? Yeah, but this, like what they are now, is like a whole other level. Like, it might be biased where I live, Los Angeles and San Gabriel Valley, but I go to a mall and I see stores, not one, but multiple stores hawking me various Nintendo merchandise, whether it be the Pokemon plushies, the Mario plushies, right? Zelda t-shirts and gear, like just up the wazoo. Like they have so many franchises and IP that would be billion-dollar businesses just separated from Nintendo. Like Mario's a billion-dollar, and so Pokemon's granted, Pokemon Company's a separate company than Nintendo, but Nintendo owns the rights to Pokemon, and they own part of Pokemon Company. So to me, they're kind of symbiotically connected to each other. But like Pokemon is a multi-billion-dollar IP, obviously. Mario's a multi-billion-dollar. Zelda's a multi-billion-dollar. And like even their B tier characters like Donkey Kong, kind of
We
part
got
of
some
Mario, maybe.
we got some people commenting about this. So we got Pierre asking if they're making the most of their IP and best serving their current and future fans by keeping it in a locked ecosystem,
Yeah.
regardless of driven. And yeah, I agree with that. I remember when
Yeah.
Facebook first came out and people couldn't sign up for it and wanted people to get Facebook so bad. It's FOMO, right? You're creating that FOMO to drive sales in a way.
You know what they do that's great? I'll just break it down. One, they have a subscription service. Okay. For what? For games I can literally not play anymore outside of emulator, which may or may not be legal, right? So I could play my old N64 games on their like a sub model, right? So they have that. And then I go, okay, do they discount games? Hardly. They're like, you want to buy our game? Full price. You want to buy our game in a year from now? Also full price. Nintendo has a store sale. Ooh, what's my discount? 5 to 10%. You're like, you gotta be kidding me. So they don't budge on things. And so will they ever budge on putting the game on their devices? Absolutely not. Why would they? They sell the ecosystem. Like it's like, why can't I have, they sell the idea that I can go into a Nintendo Switch and I can have the hardware and the software kind of maximize to each other. And then the knock on Nintendo, which I think has been very fair, is that they have been an enemy to third party developers. And I don't know if that's changed, but it's changing where they are much more open on like clearly on the Switch 2. They've made it more powerful so they can support third party games, right? So I feel like they are very slowly, I will grant that, moving toward being a more open ecosystem to outside people other than just Nintendo games, right? So they are inching in that direction at the speed of Nintendo moves. But like you think they're slow, but then you look on the other side, outside of gaming, they're fast. And like I wrote this in my article, but I'm like, I, I'm a sucker. So they started this year with Mario Kart stuff. They started with the Mario Kart line of Legos. They started like the both adult and the kids. And then they announced the new Mario Kart, and then you go in the summer, it's like the year of Mario Kart. And I look ahead, it's like, well, they're setting up this Lego line to be Pokemon next year. So they took it away from Megabox. So I assume that next year we'll have, predictions of next year, we're going to see a mainline Pokemon game, which is the ampersand, right? They sell the, you know, blue and yellow and all the kind of two things that are always adjacent to each other, Sword and Shield. They're going to see a new Pokemon mainline game next year, would be my guess. And it'll
Why is there no
sell.
AAA Pokemon game, man? Why do they all feel like optimized like trash? Come on, like that's
talk,
Mario.
go
You guys
talk to, go talk to Game Freak. Make a game that doesn't feel like the copy of the previous game. Doesn't matter. They sell like 25
yeah,
to
I
30
guess it
million
doesn't matter
copies.
either.
It doesn't matter. They have an audience. They sell games. They give them what they want. Like I look. I wish they, and to be fair, they do. I mean, not Pokemon. Pokemon's a separate one, in my opinion. But like, Nintendo does push the envelope of what it is. That's why you don't get. Mario has always been different to me, and his iterations. They don't repeat the same exact model for new Mario's. I hope to see a 3D Mario next year. It would make sense to see a 3D open world Mario next year, like the Odyssey sequel, quote unquote. But we'll see. They're coming out with Mario Galaxy, the movie. So hopefully we see another Mario game coming out next year too. Now, who knows? But like, it's not gonna be Zelda. Everyone tells me, "Oh, Zelda." And I'm like, no, it's too close to Tears of the Kingdom. Mm-mm. If they're gonna release a new Zelda game, it'd be around the movie of Zelda, so 27, 28. That'd be my guess. But like, not any time before that. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I hope that answered that person's question. Nintendo doesn't have to do what they're doing is just perfect for Nintendo right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, you can criticize it, but it's working. So there you go.
What I want is more IP to go to Nintendo. Like I want to see Astrobot in the new Smash game. Like I want to
Mhm.
see Master Chief in the new Smash. Now we'll never see a Sony IP inside Smash. Understand that, but what
Master
a
Chief,
character is Master Chief, 100%.
though.
They already have Minecraft Steve
Yeah.
in Smash. So next up, Master Chief. Let's go. Right. Let's see his reveal. Break the internet
All
for
right,
us elder
Colin.
millennials. Nobody else cares about Master Chief. So sorry, Master Chief.
All right,
Anyway.
Colin. Well, what's when we wrap up here for the year? What is a goal you're setting for yourself for 2026?
I think 2026, from our end is to continue what we're doing. We're actually launching our second iteration of our platform, so I guess that's a goal, like get it live. So that's a company goal, personal goal. I want to try to play more games. We'll see. My kid's getting of age, so he can now actually play games, so it's exciting. So I'm especially looking forward to Lego Batman next year. So play more games. we'll see how that goes. So that'll be like the goals: launch our My Game 2.0, and then do more games, and then continue to talk to you, man, and predict what's going to happen with upcoming games and play
All
Grand
right,
Theft Auto 6.
there we
Lots of
go.
GTA 6 in my future,
It's
dude.
2026.
How about you,
I
man?
I am hoping to be able to launch a couple of in-person events on the East Coast this year. I've been talking to a few different studios up and down the
Oh,
coast because there's just no representation to real gaming out here. We have a PAX East, but I feel like there's these little meetups that can be happening to help put some people together, and I'm hoping to start kind of growing this base. I have the Discord going now, and another thing is I want to grow the Discord. I've been talking to a few different small indies about creating some game competitions between our Discord and their Discord, and trying to find some fun way to build these communities to kind of intertwine and build upon each other. So just keep growing that and talking to you and just learning more about games, man. Oh my goodness, I'm dying now because we're at the end, but I wanna just play more games this year. And like you, my son is playing more games, so Lego Batman's number one on our list right now. And yeah, just to keep this going.
Uh, they have a Lego Batman line coming out. So my son's all about the Lego Batman. So yep, that the TT's got a hit. I see it in our data too. Shout out to TT. Got a hit on their hands in May. Lego Batman. The complete saga. So awesome. Well, I always appreciate our chats. I hope we did a good job on the end of year recap, at least from our end. And yeah. To those who made it this far, thank you for listening to us this year.
Yeah,
And
we'll be having a lot of new content coming out for you. Still throughout the end of the year, there'll be some new stuff coming. We're gonna kind of do some new stuff for 2026. Colin, I appreciate all the help and collaboration you provided throughout this entire year. Thank you for that.
yeah,
People who are still here, still listening, thank you so much. Check us out, playerdriven.io. Thank you for everything. Have a great holiday and rest of your year.
yeah. Happy holidays, everyone, and see you on the New Year's